QRM Office, Rio de Janeiro City, and Rio de Janeiro Federal TV Unit will make our movement today quite simple, quite clear, very limited resources, very fast conversation. The first thing we could notice and report is that the criminal system, the criminal behavior is kind of looking, globally speaking, talk with the federal justice in America, with the antitrust justice and the International Criminal Court. Had the behavior has a matrix, switching values. We could check this by the distribution of power, considering lines and columns, and was in a period that we are doing the effort to understand the database Sigma. We had this model and the conversation with the Supreme Court member America, when you indeed kind of two types of freedom, the pure freedom and the freedom after conditions to do not have a punishment against you. International accusations systematically presented since 1988 up to 2022, with the application of the local law by the international jurisdiction 2022 up to 2028. Procedures exposed on blogs. The first thing we have is corruption. Corruption is a crime in all areas. If got integrated, it's an international crime. And if you detect this in Brazil, especially by the behavior as matrix observed, you of course will have the punishment in America, especially when you have the IPOs, for instance, by criminal result and storage on bank system like this. White collar crime, that conversation that you had, we will make our movement considering the observation America, different sides, integration of two both indeed giving, guess what? A matrix as behavior. Same pattern observed at the organized crime. Maybe we have problems inside two political parties. We will have that the application of the law, and considering the political parties in sometimes will create the law and the legal arguments to have the application, and by empty arguments, I would say, you will impact your first premise as your constitution or the legal system in the end will be switched for criminal purpose, considering the decisions of judges in the same way. The prevalence as decision with an institution, if you get this institution, you control the thing. By an intent which is null or criminal, you have the criminal control of things by the empowerment at institutions. If you have in Brazil, we had a case of a judge, federal judge in Rio de Janeiro, and the federal court in Rio de Janeiro has problems from the top as reverted man like all other institutions involving relatives and the chair number one. And the judge inside this court had used the car of one specific businessman that has a company at the oil and gas, and it's a company that had a lot of contracts, including the Nissan, as purchase of vehicles for the police and others. He was married with a lady that, go at the carnival or things like this. And the judge was fired by the use of the car. It's not the object, the car used, but the behavior as use of the car. If you use a tie, a watch, or a neck ring, you commit the same thing, you must be fired in the same way. It's the application of the local law. We will check now how the corruption impact our history, which is finance, business, and economy. How the corruption can impact our curves. We will check that indeed we will have the relation between two areas, considering the debt and the credit. And the relation between debt and credit is a consequence of something named market. which indeed is the relation between supply and demand. A microeconomy is like this. And the integration of two both will give me the relation between investment saving curve and liquidity money curve. And then we have a conjuncture as a financial system. We will check that the distortion between debt and credit on the micro corporate economy goes like this, with an empty val, which is the null or the intention to have the registry, of course, that will put the orthodox behavior as balance between debt and credit with this projected argument, which is something new. And this will be stored in a company, in a lot of companies, and in a lot of companies using your public treasury, you will impact the relation between supply and demand, and then you are living in an illusion. And in the same way, the relation between investment saving curve and your liquidity money curve. By the very first record, by comparative measurement and equality, I would say consider the equity as John Rawls' America, the theory of justice, who make the first registry as the police have the same impact at the decision. Consider now the International Criminal Court, for sure you do. You are all guilty. Then we will check that this will put my, orthodox behavior as something kind of with curves. That can be something like this or something like this. It will be curves. We will not put the curves, you do not know. Shit the board. Though, we will make like this. And this behavior indeed is something projected. And when we had this projection integrated as a conjuncture with a failure, here we have our pandemic crime. Simple to understand, isn't it? And for sure, in all cases, for instance, of abuses by the judicial power as misusage of institutional empowerment, you have an attorney or a law firm on it. You can offer them privilege to they bring the authorities and understand things. Simple to understand. This is our database Sigma. It's an industrial project, a self-defense portfolio. It was offered to NATO. And the creditor committees, you can track by the interval as my email account, considering me and the receivers of this entire development, all them impacted by your behavior, which is very equal at the accountability between debt and credit, or from the local police, which is supporting the misperception at your entire judicial system, or the International Criminal Court, or the international application of the local law that must do this regression to expose how bad things are at this pandemic, even presented as a linear relation. Have a good week. And have in mind, if you had the use as my tie or something like this, it's the same case as the judge that used the car. You are all fired.